A thread by Soul War. President Trump will lead America out of chaos and darkness into an amazing future. A lot of my threads lately have covered the current crisis events being created by treasonous Democrats, how this happened and why, riots, fires, etc. But they've also been very dark threads. President Trump knew his first term was going to be a long, hard slog. He had powerful elements of the DOJ, the courts, the left-leaning DC bureaucracy, the Democrats, and factions of the GOP dead set to stop and sabotage him at every turn. And he's beating all of them. His accomplishments during his first term are so many that they can't all be listed. Ripples of positive results and promises kept that permeate the land and the world to make Trump the most effective champion of American interests in living memory. These actions were taken in 2017 to 2019 alone. As the world, the political elites built to rule over the American people, fueled off their abuse of us, is dismantled by our champion. The radical-led Democrats have set the states they control on fire by enabling chaos and destruction and then claiming it's #Trump's America. One last gasp of abuse. An orgy of destruction as their malevolent presence in our lives as an authority is broken for generations. Because President Trump and the American people are going to break them on November 3rd. Beyond all repair, their world will cease to exist. So now, let me cover what President Trump will replace that vile, dystopian thing they had in store for us with. A bright and shining future will take root during his last term as our president. We caught a glimpse of it before the pandemic was launched in the hopes of destroying us. The wall and the layered security zones no one but me ever talks about, coupled with the Mexican military's help, has won what I call Trump's border war. Illegal traffic is way down. The new and improved E-Verify Trump's administration will launch in 2021 will address illegals here. Democrats always slather illegals in emotional politibabble to avoid unpleasant truths, and their cohorts in the mainstream media work hard to keep the lid on just how much damage is done to the nation, paying for those illegals in treasure and in blood. The new E-Verify will change everything. Here's just one brutal statistic the mainstream media and Democrats never wanted you to know. 40% of all federal prison sentences are handed down to illegals every year. So what's the percentage of local and state crimes they're committing? Quick, Chucky boy, call us racists one more time. President Trump is going to give all illegals living in the USA a grace period to either get legal or self-deport. It may be 6 months, it might even be a year, but then he will cut the federal benefits to non-compliant illegals. If you can't prove your status, no dinero. When 7% of your population is committing almost half of your federal, state, and local crimes, you have to address that. The Clintons and the Bushes never did, and we paid the price. Well, by 2025, I expect the percentage of illegals in the U.S. to drop below 1%. This will cut crime by half. Do you think states like California, with its $1 trillion+ in unfunded budget liabilities, could afford to feed and house the millions of illegals they've let in? When the feds cut the funding, the left will howl like banshees as their nullified voting bloc leaves. The effects of this will be seen almost overnight. We have grown used to hearing about violent repeat offenders being released after very short stints in prison. This was done deliberately by Democrats who were using criminals the same way they use Antifa to push policy. People think Antifa and BLM are just rioting white kids and black street thugs. They are. But they are also used to push policy changes that favor the Democrats garnering power. Do you see it yet? They've done this for decades. Trump's just making them do this openly for us to see. E-Verify and the cutting of benefits to illegals will curb the chaos quickly. Then the DOJ will continue to use Trump's First Step Act to free up federal prison cells by using nonviolent offenders, by releasing nonviolent offenders to then incarcerate all the violent thugs the Democrats have been using to control us. By 2025, thanks to Operation Legend, expanding to all deep blue cities, what I've called the demonic and incorrigible the Democrats have allowed to roam free will be gone off the streets and into prison or mental hospitals where they belong. Trump fixed the VA. He will fix this. The money spent feeding and housing illegals, gone. The money spent fighting the chaos and crime on America's streets, cut by half, as the streets are actually made safer. Then law enforcement can focus on that other half effectively. Crime will no longer be used to push us. People are wondering where America will get the money to fund the new $500 billion Platinum Plan to rebuild Black neighborhoods. Well, I just told you. The Democrats' coin was chaos, and President Trump is ending that chaos and will replace it with overwhelming safety and stability. And the economy. After Trump's reelected, the sky won't be the limit on American prosperity. That glimpse we got before some very rich and very stupid people hit us with a deliberate pandemic and a long-planned insurrection is going to return times 50 and become our new normal. Trump's going to address poverty and violence in America's hell zones. He will have a juggernaut by 2022, an economy that he will use to crush all malevolent opposition to improving Americans' quality of life. Understand what I'm saying. All this chaos was contrived. It did not and was not just happening. The border will be secured. The illegals will be incredibly diminished, and with them the costs and the criminality we suffered from them as Democrats railed about our heartlessness. American thugs will be singing a new tune or they will be in prison. The Democrats cannot replenish their criminal helpers to continue pushing their self-serving policies as their power will be utterly broken. U.S. prosperity and stability will stabilize and recover Mexico from the grip of the cartels. Legal status will become a badge of honor. By 2022, the U.S. will begin implementing a Gen 4 nuclear power program that will change everything about how Americans live for the better. And this will then go worldwide as the incredible benefits of it become undeniable. The hydraulic manipulation most live under will go away. What is hydraulic manipulation? The control of resources to control populations. Basic resources like, say, food or water. Warlords and dictatorships use their control of resources to control those they rule. An example is about to be set the world will never forget. By Trump. Peace on the Korean Peninsula. Peace in the Middle East. Peace in Mexico. Peace with China once the vile Chinese Communist Party collapses. It's all coming. And for those chanting no justice, no peace in our streets, do you really have to ask? All this tumult will be over by May of 2021. The torch of American freedom and liberty is about to be rekindled so amazingly and brightly the world won't be able to ignore it. This is what America's enemies feared all along, that our values given form through law and security would create an ascension of humanity they can't control. So they sandbagged us the same way you just witnessed them sandbag President Trump his entire first term, with corruption and chaos, lawlessness and terror. I don't have to be told what was found in al-Baghdadi's compound because my job is to connect the dots. The same with COVID. As Carlos Osuita has said, and said often, the demon causes the most tumult before it flees the home. America is undergoing an exorcism. We're paying the price for all the years we slumbered foolishly as dark hands took the wheel of our ship of state. Terrible crimes were committed. Trump had to show us the face of the enemy. Too many Americans are lost to propaganda and the left's indoctrination. Moabs are coming like you won't believe. They will shock you. Imagine what their irrefutable impact will be on those who were mindlessly following those criminals. May I say that history has shown us there is not a more fervent convert in the world to the truth than someone who was forced to live a lie. Some of the loudest voices on America's streets right now will be so pro-Americana by 2022, it will stun you. Not talking about the terrorists. Prosperity, stability, safety. These will become our status quo, and all Americans will have come through a flaming wilderness to get there. We will remember for at least 2 generations what was done to us and what we suffered to defeat those responsible as we enjoy an amazing age. We're going back to the moon. Hell, we're going to Mars and far beyond. The fruits of this Trump-heralded Pax Americana will be so many, so wonderful and varied. Human beings of that future will envy the fact that they didn't live in the age of Trump to witness it. We are blessed. 80% of America is stable already. This is the Democrats and the mainstream media right now. Vote for us or we'll kill you all. Regret the harm they're causing, but then laugh at the fix they're in. Trump has been stripping them of their power to abuse us using the law. So guess what? They are forced to use their district attorneys, their mayors, and their governors to promote lawlessness openly. It was never supposed to be this blatant, but Trump's successes have boxed them in. They're doomed. The links between Antifa and Black Lives Matter and the Democrats, not only undeniable, they will stand up in court. As Trump, Barr, and Esper, Secretary of Defense, completely wreck the terrorists, their enablers in DC and nationwide will be held accountable by an American justice they thought they had subordinated. We get to watch. Good times are ahead. Don't let their lies and fear porn manipulate you. Unplug. Find harmony. We're witnessing the tumultuous birth of a new age of freedom and quality of life never before thought possible. It will awe and delight your children who will look upon you the same way we regard the greatest generation who won World War II and shut with gallant blood a very dark door. Just a few more months of howling wolves, rabid with hate, roaming certain city streets, and then Lady Liberty's guardians will have their voices heard. And believe me, you will hear them to let the malcontents know beyond all dispute that their reign of terror is over. The demonic and incorrigible will become prisoners, patients, or fertilizer. Their choice. As we begin to enjoy the fruits from the tree of liberty, now that those who sought to corrupt, abuse, and destroy us have been finally and completely defeated in their soul war upon humanity. To support the works of Brent Cates, you can donate any amount here, paypal.me/Brent Cates. Thank you for listening, and remember,
I will be the greatest president that God ever created.